like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. I like it.
The sound, and once the sound is on, then I find the Palaver and click it. And then there we go. And then we're live and we say hello to everyone. I just realized I have cat hair all over my shirt and it's actually showing up on camera because I was cuddling with my cat and I'm wearing a black shirt. Oh God, cat hair all over me. Sorry about that. So professional.
That's okay.
It's Monday, the 16th. Hi, hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And apologies for the slightly late start. Discord was being a bitch. Well, listen, I wasn't going to throw you under the bus, Th0rnd.
Oh, I'd stay there. I'd stay under the bus.
I wasn't going to do it. I mean, we were having problems with Discord.
Yeah, we were. Granted, yes, we were, but it was me getting off of a conference call like way late and doing like scarfing food down my face and going to change, and then Rev is like poke poke poke, and Discord are like, oh shit, I gotta go.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what happened too. In your head, you're thinking, okay, if I'm on Discord at 7:45, Rev will be happy, but you're an hour behind me, right?
Oh no, I had the times right. I had the time right. It was just I thought I had more time to do stuff than I did. So.
Well, I understand.
I'll take full accountability for it.
Let me just say a quick thank you to Th0rnd and Squidly for the hosts. By the way, Squidly is going to be our guest next week.
Yay!
So, Squidly Marie. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, this is my friend Th0rnd, and we met because he was running the Team MZ Streamer of the Week podcast.
It was last year. Well, last June?
Not quite a year ago, yeah.
No, May or June.
And I get a message like, hey, you're going to be the Streamer of the Week. I'm like, cool. And then they get sent this questionnaire to fill out. I'm like,
the questionnaire.
All right, I'll fill out this questionnaire. And there were some questions that were like, okay, I could answer this seriously, but like, how much fun is that? It's like, any experiences you want to know us to know about? I'm like, well, there was the time I had a threesome with that chick, and
then you were completely honest, though. That was a completely honest answer. And see, when I got that questionnaire back, and I read it, And I pass it around to the admins. I'm like, okay, is this serious? I mean, do we go here or do we, So I treaded a little bit lightly around the subject. I think we did enough justice to the questionnaire.
If I recall, you kind of brought it up in the last 3 minutes of that podcast. You're like, so yeah, by the way, your questionnaire. I'm like, oh yes. You're like, you said something about threesomes. I'm like, oh yeah, look at the time.
Streamer of the week after hours.
We don't really have time to go into my sexual exploits. Rip. Oh well.
So sorry. So, it just didn't have, because I was raised very, very conservative anyway. And so that wasn't something that was always discussed. I never, with my dad or my mom, I never had the birds and the bees discussion. It was just something that I happened upon, You
had to learn it on the streets.
Yeah. It was a hard life learning it on the streets, but no, it was just something we never really discussed. And so I read those answers. I'm like, you know what? Because I'm not naive. I know there's all sorts of different lifestyles and likes and dislikes and all that stuff out there. So I'm not just ignorant of that fact, but it's not knowing how to approach the subject. That was the big thing. It's like, okay, how do I slide this in, pardon the pun, in a way, just it's just so we get it. And I won because I wouldn't want to offend anybody, but I also wouldn't want to be too cautious, because I'm
well, and I think we immediately hit this really smooth, really even rhythm where it just was easy, right?
Yeah.
And so I could tell you were kind of looking at the questionnaire and kind of let me go to this question instead. Let me go to this question instead. But I could see you were kind of looking, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to bring that up. You waited till the very end of the podcast to kind of.
Well, because I wanted to do it. I mean, you took the time to fill it out, and the questionnaire. It was there was, and of course I won't name any names, of course, but there were those that we did on the podcast where the questionnaire was the saving grace of that episode. Because pulling information out of some people, and it's it was pulling teeth, whatever euphemism you want to use there. But and then there's others that you use it as okay, I'll start here, and then they just start kind of rolling on the same subject. And then there's people like Rev that you're like, okay, fill us out, okay, throw the papers away, we just shot the shit,
Dude. And I've talked to a lot of people about different podcasts, going all the way back to the very first Team MZ podcast. I did a lot of talk with Francesi when he was starting it. And I said, there's no right or wrong way to say, oh, this is what you should do or that's what you should do, because a lot of it depends not only on who you are as a person, but who your guest is. And I was actually just talking to Swidley Marie, who's in chat, this weekend. We were on the phone for an hour. She wants to do a podcast. She wants in the future. And so she was tapping me for advice. And I said, here's the thing. You might feel like you have your rhythm set, but then you get someone else who just comes in and it's just a totally different thing. Mm-hmm. And you have to be willing to, roll with it. And I feel like I feel like most of the people who are here watching are probably streamers of some sort. And that's something you have to adjust to on the fly when you stream, right? When you say that in a way, podcasting is very similar to streaming in that you have the job to entertain people, entertain your viewers, but at the same time, you have to constantly be ready to adapt to new situations.
Well, yeah, and the thing is about podcasts, the one thing that streaming, video game streaming, has that podcasting doesn't is video game streaming. You have a subject. You have a game that you're playing, So it kind of provides you a constant flowing conversation, as you play the game. Podcast is not so much like that, but you can have a very regimented podcast, with topics, and here's pointers, and I'm going to talk about this and this and this, and that's fine. There's people that are very, we'll call them right-brained, and they follow that, and it's and that works fine for them. Then there's others, which Rev is pretty much what your podcast is. Your Palaver is just a here's a couple people that just like to talk, and we'll touch on whatever subject that comes up, and it's fine, and we'll all have fun doing it, and here we go. It's a loose, it's flowing, it's adaptable. You can change it on the fly if you have to. And there's no right or wrong. It's just really what you want to do. But if you're doing a podcast and you get a guest on there, I would say just try to identify what type of personality they are. If they are a person that's not going to talk, you might need to learn something about them to pull that information out. If they're a person that's, who cares about a schedule or anything like that, who we don't care about that, let's just, take it off the cuff and we'll just go with it. Then you'll have to find a way to fit that into your podcast. So just be adaptable is the number one thing I'd say is perfect tip.
And in a way,
just the tip.
Let's just play just the tip. Come on, it's still be a virgin. It's just the tip. No.
On that. So, and this is, I always had a question about that. I'm sorry to sidetrack it, but technically, if you don't orgasm, are you still a virgin?
Yeah. Listen, you know what? I actually have a theory about this. All right, it's ridiculous, but this actually came up with someone a little while ago. I'm sorry. Let me apologize to you ahead of time, Th0rnd, as well as anyone watching at home, for this to take slightly a darker turn. But I was talking to a girl, and she was asking me for advice, and she didn't want to ask on stream, but she goes, actually, I could really use some advice. And I go, message me on Discord. And she goes, I'm 19, and I've been with this guy for 2 years, and I've always said I'm a virgin and that I wanted to wait till marriage, but I don't really want to. I want to sleep with. I'm like, do it. What's the problem? She goes, I'm not really a virgin. She goes, well, I won't go into it too much, but something bad happened to her when she was like 16. And it was against her will. And I said this, okay. In the purest sense of the word, you may not be technically a virgin, but that was against your will. So what I would do is I would recommend coming out and being honest with him and telling him this, and then telling him that you do want to take that step with him and say, even though I'm not technically a virgin, this is my choice, and I'm giving you my first time by choice. Like something was stolen from you, right? But that doesn't mean that you don't still have the ability to give your virginity to this person.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
I don't know exactly where I was going with that. I had a point when I started with that, but I think the point I'm trying to say is you have to understand your audience. I think what I was going to tie it to is you have to understand your audience. And like, she was so afraid of her boyfriend and her boyfriend finding out, and she had been lying to her boyfriend for 2 years. And I was like, he probably won't care. If he's been with you for 2 years, he'll be caring and supportive. Do you think he's going to care? I don't know.
Well, 9 times out of 10, the guys will be like, well, hold on. So you said that you'll have sex with me before marriage? And he's going to be like, everything past that is going to be like, an afterthought anyway. And then 2 years, I don't, if he's going to be that shallow to say, well, no, I must have a virgin, a true virgin in the truest sense of the word.
Yes, Matt brought up the reason why I went on that orgasm equals losing virginity. So I said, well, if you want to be technical about it, okay, you're not a virgin. But, that doesn't mean anything less for the first time you choose to have sex, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It all started with the tip. I should have. It all started with the tip.
That's right. That's right. It's just the tip.
Just the tip.
Th0rnd, why do we always go? Why do we always go to these places?
We always go there. We always go there.
I don't know.
Marie, to answer your question, that's completely up to you about sharing the questions. I honestly, if you have questions that you're going to ask somebody, I think it's proper etiquette, and it's just a nice thing to do to share the questions with them beforehand. You don't have to ask for the answers from them, but you don't want to invite a guest on and broadside them with like what was your most traumatic memory of your childhood or whatever, because that could really clam somebody up really quick if you ask a question that they aren't prepared to answer, or don't want to answer. I think
if you want to, what you could do is just send them, like, if you're going to do this, I would over prepare, have a lot of questions, and send them these questions. Just say, these are the questions that I might ask you. Is there anything on here you don't feel comfortable with? Now, that being said, I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to give anything away that Squidly's going to be doing. But who she's talking to, I don't think it's going to be a big problem, because it's kind of like she's doing like an actual interview, and it's not like she's talking to a rape survivor. Like it's pretty. I can't imagine she would ask a question that would be difficult to answer. But if you want to, you can present it to them and just say, are there any questions on here you're not comfortable with? And just say, these are the questions.
No. Yeah, that's a good thing. Good way to go about it.
All right, Th0rnd, let's get into it. Again, we're not going to say any names. We're not going to throw anyone under the bus. What was your worst podcast experience, like trying to interview someone? There's got to be like one.
Oh yeah, there was, and you and I talked about it too afterwards.
Oh, it was one that I was on?
No, I think it was one that you were going to be on, but you couldn't be on for one reason or another. But yeah, this night it was, and this is one where it didn't matter how many questions were on the questionnaire. It was the most painful. Actually, it didn't even last an hour. I remember that. It didn't even last an hour. It was the second quickest 3 minutes of my life.
Did you wait until I took a sip before you said that? Like, come on, man.
No, it was...
I was like, don't spit!
It probably lasted about 30 minutes or so. But I was just, and so I asked the question, I was like, you're from here. Yeah. Oh, okay, what's good to do around there? I don't really know. I don't get out much. Okay, well, what do you like to do in your free time? No, nothing really. All right, well, I see here you play this game. Why did you play that game? Oh, I just thought I'd pick it up and try it out. It was just so, it was like, you have the commercials for the most interesting guy in the world, most interesting man in the world. This is like the most uninteresting man in the world. It was like, man, you are a dud. Like,
and so there, at the time, there was like three of us that were podcast hosts. It was you, me, and Mike, right?
Yep.
And was Mike on with you to bounce stuff off of, or no?
No, it was just me.
God, dude. And Mike's a great guy. I love that guy. I haven't really talked to him much since he he went through a lot of personal stuff, as you know. So,
yeah.
Health and, whatever. But that was always one of the things that I thought was really great about that two hosts to a guest format is when you get that type of person, you can just be like, all right, I'm just going to bounce off the other co-host for a while and just chit chat. And then after, and you can kind of see that the guest is like, no, I don't know. I only play on the Xbox. When they're doing that, and then you just bounce off the other co-host for a little while, and you can kind of see him going like you can see him start to relax a little bit and get into it. And then you're like, oh, I just asked Felix about the Xbox. You said you only played on Xbox. Do you have a PlayStation? Do you have any other games? I'm like, oh no, I'm Xbox only. I'm like, oh well, what? That's when you can kind of draw them in. Yeah. Oh my God,
Mike was perfect for the racist jokes. Also, he would throw those in. Well, what nationality was it with Mike that he always picked on? It was Wasn't it Dutch?
I don't remember to be. I've been a lot more open about this. I've been having some medical issues that have been affecting my memory, and I have a lot of problems recalling stuff. So
I want to say it's Dutch. And then yeah, so he would come out with like a Dutch joke, and leave us all like holding our stomachs in pain and laughing. Both at the same time, like laughing at the joke, I'd be like, I can't believe that he said that on there. So Mike had no shame in saying something like that.
dude, he was a funny guy, but I got to be honest, you and Mike left me in the lurch because like you. So I hope I'm not giving anything away, but you fell and hurt your back really bad. Like you really screwed up your back really bad, and you were basically off Twitch for like 2 or 3 months, right?
Oh yeah. So what was happening is we moved into this house back last July. Okay, so 2 years ago we moved into a house, and we're like, hey, we like this house, and so our lease was up on the rent to rent that house last June 30th was our last date. So at the beginning of May, my wife and I reach out to the landlord and say, hey, we like this house. We would like to try to buy it. No answer, nothing. So we're okay, he's because he travels a lot, does all that stuff. So we're like, okay, he's probably busy. So at 11:53 on May 31st, granted, there was a mutual 30-day clause. So we had to provide him 30-day notice if we were going to leave. He had to provide us 30 days if he was going to, tip us out or whatever. So May 31st, our lease is up June 30th. So May 31st at 11:53 p.m., we get an email from him saying that he's going to sell the house to his friends. So we have 30 days to find a house, to move. And then last September, my daughter was getting married and she wanted to have a big get together at our house. So we had to move, we had to find a house, move, get everything packed up, get everything ready to have like 150 guests from a wedding at our place and all that. So luckily we found a place, and the house is much nicer place now. But I was putting up like pictures on the wall and everything, and I was in a chair, and I've got a chair like that over here, but I'm not going to pull off camera. But so I was leaning over, I was putting it was like a home sweet home sign above the window in the kitchen that's right above the kitchen sink. So I'm a tall guy, and I could reach up that high, but I couldn't get the screws. The screws were right up by the ceiling because I was leaning, so I lost some height because I was leaning over the sink. So I stood on a chair, and I started to put the screws in, and I was coming back to eyeball and see if I got it straight, put the level up there, see if I got it straight. Well, I leaned back too fast and too far, and the chair started sliding forward. So I tried to grab the back of it, and I overcompensated and just took a swan dive off the back of the chair and fell into the kitchen island. And it was on wheels. And so I pushed that into the refrigerator. There's a big dent still in the refrigerator from that. And we had a bunch of stuff all over the floor, like, pieces of wood and stuff that we were fixing the place up with, and fell right on that. Like my forearm hit that, my back, I wrenched my knee. I mean, it was like just everything on my body just followed the path down my body. And yeah, I was out for a little bit.
Oh, so that is rough. Yeah, and I remember you're like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm on painkillers, and even when I'm not, I don't feel good. Like, it's terrible. And I was, I live in chronic pain, so I totally got it. And I think the next podcast, I did like 2 with Mike, and he was, I don't want to give away too much, but he was going through some issues with medication, and one of them, he was just a zombie. Like, this was him the whole time. And I would try to engage him and be like,
more so than usual.
What? No, I mean, like, dude, it was rough, and I felt really bad. And I said, dude, listen. He goes, I can't do it, and I said, that's fine. So I did 1 or 2 by myself, and then thankfully I had Felix on, and I went to MZ, and I'm like, yeah, I need a co-host. I can't do this. Well, actually, it wasn't even MZ at the time. I think it was Go Pokes or Wildy Bear or someone. And
Yeah, probably Go Pokes.
yeah, I was like, I need someone to do this with me because I can't do it every single week and I can't do it by myself. Oh, so here's my story, right? Here's my story. And this is only because it's such a dramatic change. All right, I'll say the name of the person because I love this person. She is one of my favorite people on Twitch. I don't know if you know Sabby.
Yes, oh my god, it's Sabby. Yep.
Well, she actually changed her name. It used to be, oh my god, it's Sabby, and now it's just Sabby.
Yeah.
I hang out in her channel. I talk to her in the mornings. She comes about, like, we talk all the time. We're friends. I legitimately feel like she's Twitch friends with me.
She was actually the one that we had set up for the podcast before I hurt my back.
Well, maybe this was the first time I had to do it by myself then, because it was just me and her. And
Yeah,
I was like, no problem. I'm friends with Sabby. This will be easy. You know, give me 1 second. I just see something loading. I just want to make sure I'm still live and connected here. If you can for 1 second. Yeah, okay, everything looks fine. Yeah, I said, oh, this will be easy. I'm friends with Sabby. I love the girl. We have a pre-existing relationship as friends, so it should be no problem, right? And I had her on, and of course, the first few minutes are always a little rough of any podcast. You know, the first few minutes are this like but then next 40 minutes, no problem. Just ba 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 ba. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was that she suddenly got tired or like I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden she just like shut down, you know? And I was like, I'm like, yeah, so blah blah blah. And she's like, no. What are you doing, Sabby? This is not how, like it was just like all of a sudden like she just fell off a cliff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ended the stream like 10 minutes earlier than normal because I could just tell like she was done. You know what I mean? So the reason why I bring that up is because as I mentioned, Squiddly Marie is going to be doing her first podcast, and she called me in, and I said, if it's your first time doing a podcast and you're interviewing someone who doesn't normally do podcasts, maybe think about planning out 30 minutes and be willing to go as long as needed, like 30 to 60 minutes. But if you get to that point, be ready to call it. Like, you don't have to do an hour. You know what I mean?
It doesn't have to be. There's, and that's, and thankfully I told that guy, the one that was like the worst one that I did, and on that, shame on me, because a good host can work around it. And I think I was just, I don't know. I wasn't in the proper frame of mind to sit here and pull information out of this guy, and I guess it goes on the type of podcast that we were doing. It was the Streamer of the Week podcast, so it's nothing to benefit me as the host. It's the guest, the Streamer of the Week that's on there. That's their chance to get their name out there, and so I guess that was the thought in my head is, okay, you're sitting here and you're, a goldfish is more conversational than you are. If this is how you want to be represented, out there, then that's your call. And, shame on me for acting that way. I probably wasn't in the best frame of mind. But I told him before, I was like, okay, the podcast lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. So I did not feel bad at 35 minutes being like, we gotta go. Yeah. We're done.
Hey, I understand. I did want to address a question that Xylo asked. Xylo said, do you try to vet your guests before you have them on? I mean, I personally do. I think that that's just, for me, it makes my job easier. Even if they're a streamer, even if you just go in and see their face and listen to their tone of voice, listen to how they talk, see some of their mannerisms. Just those little things, even if you never say anything, just watch them for 10, 15 minutes. I mean, obviously I talk to a lot of fellow streamers, right? That helps out a lot. When I've had video game developers on, I try to learn as much about the video game company, about them if I can, about the games they put out. Just having that knowledge inside your head makes it a lot easier to talk to them. I don't know. What are your do you have any feelings on that? Now, and I'm gonna also connect this to streaming as a whole. So when you stream because I get this question a lot. When you play a game for the first time, how much research do you do on that game? Do you look into that game? Do you see what the game's about, or do you like going in blind?
It depends on the game. Like I just got Darkest Dungeon, and I've gone in, I guess like one eye shut. I guess a little bit blind, but I've watched you stream it. I've watched a couple buddies stream it, so I know the gist of the game. I just don't know the game. I don't. But then there's other games, that I would just rather go in blind, because to me I guess that's part of the entertainment value. But there's one thing that a lot of streamers out there don't like, that I don't actually mind, is I don't mind backseat drivers. If I'm playing a game and something about the game that I don't, well, fine, tell me. I can do it or I can not do it. But to me, if I got a bunch of people in chat sitting there discussing the best way to kill a monster, or to do this, or to do that, then it'll keep the conversation going, and I might learn something, because I'm a very mediocre gamer at best. So
I always say to people, I don't mind if you backseat game. I don't mind if you give advice, as long as you don't mind if I don't follow that advice.
Right.
Hey, we're all just having fun, right? We're all here to play games and watch games and just have fun and be social. So if you come in and be like, no, you've got to go toxicity build on Death March, and if you want to go this point, put this point there, and it's like, okay, I understand that that's the way you would do it, and I understand that might even be the best way to do it, but maybe I don't want to do that for whatever reason, Squidly says she hates.
She hates blind streams.
I love doing blind streams. I love not knowing a god. It's one of my favorite things is booting up a game and being like, yeah, all I know about this game is what I saw on the little preview video of Steam, and it was 88% positive reviews. I'm like, good enough for me. That's all I know.
Something I've been trying to get into more of the, we'll call it indie games, and I don't think Darkest Dungeon is necessarily an indie game, but it's for the longest time, because I haven't been able to play games on PC. It's all been on Xbox or PS4, and now I got my shiny new PC here. It's all built and it looks so pretty. It's right here. I want to show you.
We're gonna get a look at. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh, and it was funny because it when it was the lights were green, it chroma keyed out for a second. It's kind of cool.
It
did? It's kind of cool.
I hope I got my camera back in the right spot too.
Yep, looks great.
Okay. But yeah, so it was so cool, and I haven't built a computer in 10 years. That was a cool stream to do. I love doing that stream, and I had something I did not think that if I do another build, I had 3 different people. I had 35 different people come into my chat in that stream alone, which for me is a lot. So, but I had 3 different people ask me for my build. Hey, where can we find your build? I'm I didn't even think about doing a build listing, So it was a lot of fun, and I didn't break it.
Yay!
The first time I've turned it on, it posted and everything. So, but
not breaking, it's always a success.
Yeah, because Th0rnd would cry on stream if he broke that, because I'm not a rich man by any means, and if I broke something, then that would be that, and I'd have to wait probably until next year to replace it. So,
dude, can I bitch at you for a second?
What's that?
I don't know if can I bitch at you?
Sure.
For a second. So I don't know if you know the problems that I had today with my stream, but OBS is using, even right now, it's using 5 times the amount of resources it normally uses. Actually, for some reason, it's not right now. Well, anyways, today it was using 3 gigs of my memory, and I've got 16 gigs of memory in my computer. So I was using 3 gigs of my memory and 80% of my GPU, my graphics card, right? Normally, it's like 850 megabytes to a gig of memory and like 15 to 20% of my GPU.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then Streamlabs OBS had the same problem. I downloaded Bebo, but I haven't installed it yet or tried that out. But someone was saying Bebo is... You need to AFK for a second? Or?
Yeah, just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll just talk to chat.
I'm gonna turn the video off real quick.
Okay, no problem.
Don't want to send anything up.
Nope, that's fine. Yeah, so I'll just talk to chat. So I was having this massive problem where it's just OBS was just absolutely just gobbling up the resources, and I couldn't play anything. And it was so disheartening because you're like, well, what do I do here? I spent like 2 hours that I normally am streaming trying to fix it, and I couldn't. And now mysteriously it seems to be working again. But I actually got in contact with my bank, and I said, how much money do I have in my savings account? Do I need to look at buying a new video card? Do I need to look at buying a whole new PC? Oh, I tell you, chat, it was the worst. Xylo says lies. It never works the first time. That's a myth. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, Xylo was having the same problem. It was using up at least another 10 to 20% more than usual. Yeah, but you know what? Looking at it right now, it's a little bit higher than normal, but it's at 19% GPU and around, let me pull it back up, and 1.5 gigs. So it's a little high on the memory usage, but tolerable, and 19% GPU, which is tolerable. So I honestly have no idea. I have no idea what was going on with it earlier. Hazmat says, my computers have almost always worked the first time. The only one that didn't was one I built on an Asus motherboard. I haven't built my own computer in probably 15, 20 years. I used to do that a lot when I was in high school. I had a job at a computer repair shop, and so I would do custom builds for customers. And so, of course, I would build my own computers as well. And you know what? I got to the point where I'm like, I would rather pay someone an extra $100 and have them build it. And since then, I've pretty much exclusively gotten Dells, and I like Dells. I don't know what to say. I like Dells. Squidly says, it has to be an OBS problem. So many people have been experiencing the exact same problem. And then Mr. Green comes in with the raid. Hello, Mr. Green. Welcome to the Palaver podcast. My guest, Th0rnd, had to step AFK for just a minute, so I'm just chatting with y'all right now. We just got a big old raid bomb from Mr. Green.
Mr. Green.
For everyone joining us, this is Th0rnd. He's one of the featured streamers in the Prepper Nerds, which you can always find by joining our Discord. We have a Discord that several of us use, and instead of having separate, like 8 different Discords, we all just use one Discord. It's kind of a community Discord. You can find my channel there. You can find Th0rnd's channel there, as well as several other great streamers.
Yep.
Yeah. So everything okay?
Kids were trying to kill each other over the Wii U. So, because Minecraft is like crack.
I understand.
So that was what's going on. But yeah, so so you got a raid. Nice for the raid.
Yes, and hello to everyone who is joining us. So yeah, we were just talking about a lot of stuff. We were talking about our time as podcast hosts, and Th0rnd was just talking about his PC that he just built. Do you want to show all the new people your PC again, Th0rnd?
I did. Okay.
Just show them your PC. He literally just built it, so he's all excited about
Wednesday. I built it on stream. So, there we go.
Yeah, look at that thing.
Collars and everything.
Look at that.
So, and hopefully next month, because GPU prices are dropping. So, hopefully next month, I'll be able to get a new GPU in there.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I just started pricing them out again recently, and man, the 1080s were like $1,200 like 3 weeks ago, and they're down to like 600 to 700.
600, yeah, I know.
And I almost bought one, and then I realized my power supply isn't good enough, so I'd also have to buy a new power supply. So, I don't know.
Oh, you can get one of those for $70 or so.
Yeah, but when your entire bank account is, around $1,000, you're like, do I want to completely dump every last bit of savings I have?
Yes, you do. And my wife asked me that. She's like, so are you sure you want to spend this money on this computer? Yes. Yes, I am. Because I've got the other one. So I've got a 2 PC setup now, which is what I'm using. So I've got the gaming PC, which is what I showed you, running into the old POS that I was trying to use before. So it's just night and day, but it's I was showing off, I called it PC porn because I was showing off my 4-monitor setup. It is so nice.
That's the other thing too. If I got a second PC, I'd want to add a third monitor. Like I've got 2, but I think I'd want to add a third. And then my wife is like, well, we'd have to get you a new desk so you could have like an L desk that goes around. And I'm like, ooh, if I did that, I could get another boom and put the camera on the boom so I could move the camera around easily.
See, that's the only thing that I want to do is I want to be able to move the camera or get a second camera too, because I just have the one right now. But I was able, because I've got a mixer now, so I was able to just go over to the one. I had 2 microphones. So I had a microphone that was plugged in to the computer for streaming, and then I had one that I plugged into like my PS4 when I was playing on there. So now I can just use the one mic and have it plugged into everything, and it all goes. I don't know. I spent too much money, but I was like, you know what? I deserve this. I really don't, but I do.
Xylo says he has a 1080. It left him destitute for a month. Yeah, you must make a lot more money than me. That would leave me destitute for 3 or 4 months minimum. Like, I don't make that much money, my friend.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
See, that's what I missed. That's what I was looking at when I was doing this build, is the 1060 6 gigabyte. But I went for more in the memory and more in like the hard drive and the SSD and all that. Because I will have my wife was like, well, if you can wait on that, you can have more money to spend next month. And I was like, more money means more graphics cards, so I can get a better one. So I'll wait.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do, though.
Oh.
Building it and
let's just give Xylo one of these. Here we go, Xylo. That's for you, buddy. He says the price of the 1080 stayed the same. No, I remember looking, and 1080 Ti's were close to $1,600,
yep.
which is probably like
$1,450 or something.
Yeah,
UK.
like I want to say, I was gonna say 1,300 pounds UK.
No.
Like the Bitcoin miners just, and I guess what happened is Bitcoin has been taking a pretty serious hit lately, and so all the miners are speculating now. They're like, well, we don't want to dump all this money into new hardware if we're not going to get an ROI on it, and not be able to pay it back.
Well, it also helps that Nvidia has kind of been teasing their new line.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like the 1080, they'll have the 2080 or whatever coming out here soon.
I mean, hey, that's fine. I'll go to the 1080 and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I was looking at. I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at Alienware computers. Have you ever taken a look at those? You're not a fan?
It's Dell.
I love Dell. That's all I've bought in the last 15 years, and they've been great for me. You don't like Dell?
No. You worked at Circuit City, right?
Yeah.
Did you sell Dell at Circuit City?
No, we sold HP, Compaq, and one other big brand, and then we had E-Machines.
Oh, the E-Machines. I remember the E-Machines.
Dude, you will never catch me saying anything bad about the E-Machines. You will never catch me saying a single bad thing about E-Machines. Those things were like shit parts, but for the price, they were unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what they went for, is for the price point. It's like you won't be driving a Ferrari. You'll be going around in this Pinto, but this Pinto's going to take you. It's going to take you the same places. It just might take a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely agree with what Darth actually said. Alienware is just as bad as Apple in terms of cost for what you get. Yeah. Well, that's actually where I was going is I was looking at Alienware and I'm like, okay, yeah, these are all top tier things. Why is it so expensive? I know if I built this myself, I could get it in instead of $2,300. I could probably build everything on here minus the case for like $1,800.
yeah.
You know, I don't think the case is worth $500 or $600.
No.
You know.
Well, they have their markup, and I don't fault them for their markup, but it's just because, and it's like the computer that I have, the old one, the streaming one that I have. It's a IBM. It's a Lenovo, and the parts that they get aren't top of the line parts, and so that's why it just. If you can do it, if you can wait and wait for the deals, like so, I was such a nerd about it. I had a spreadsheet, and I had all the parts that I wanted, and I had Newegg, Amazon, and Micro Center, and eBay, and I had like all these sites, and I had it set up on conditional formatting, and and it would pull the price from here and put it in here, and so it would show me in green what was the best price, and. So that's
nerd.
I know when I finally got the money, I was like, yeah. So I knew exactly what site. I had the links in there for the item, so I would just click the link, take it over to the site, add to cart, and I just did that, ordered it all, and I benefited. My wife has Amazon Prime, so I got the 2-day shipping. Ordered a couple things from Newegg, and that was supposed to get here in a week, and it came like next day somehow. So. I had so I was building it. Everything was supposed to come in Wednesday of last week, but the processor, the motherboard, the RAM, and something else came in Tuesday, and that was killer for me because I was like I had to look at all this stuff and I couldn't do anything with it because I didn't have anything else.
And they make those boxes so shiny, you look at the box, it's all shiny and it's got graphics on it. You're like, oh.
And then, like the motherboard. The motherboard.
Oh,
shiny.
Yes.
That thing was heavy too. That's like the best motherboard I've ever had. That thing was like durable, like heavy. So, and then I got my nice little. I'm gonna break it. I got my nice little Death Adder mouse. My
dude, you're gonna laugh at me. I don't even think I could show it to you because I don't think my cord is long enough. But I have this brand mouse. It's amazing. It's called the Liger. You know that brand? Have you ever heard of that brand?
No, I haven't.
No one's heard of it. You know why? It's just the cheapest piece of shit. $5 for this mouse, but it's like 3200 DPI gaming mouse, and it works. Like I literally just replaced it. Here's the old one I had, and the only reason I replaced it is because the cord was getting super frayed. I don't know if you can see the cord there. The cord was getting super frayed to the point where all that, I was like, ooh, I don't want that to die on me. That's the only reason I replaced it. It was working fine. I'm like, for $5, it's a gaming mouse, super high. No.
I was playing PUBG the other night with the new computer and the mouse, and there's these two buttons right here. There's like top and bottom. I had no clue what they did. Of course, didn't read any instructions because
that's the DPI. That's the DPI setting.
Yes, I know. And I accidentally clicked one, and like my character was like turning super fast circles.
the Liger has that. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
I know all about it.
I'm coming from just this little basic mouse that came with the store-bought computer that I have, and I pushed this button, and my character's like, I was like trying to aim, and it was like just super. I felt like Superman, just like, I was like, what the hell's going on? And
that probably fucked you up so bad.
It did. It messed me up,
dude. Those generic stock mice, I just fuck them right. I just fucking chuck them right in the closet. I'm like, oh look, this came with a mouse. Don't need that shit. I have no time and no patience for stock mice. None. Come on. Life is too short for... Oh, and the other thing that drives my wife nuts, I definitely won't be able to show you this, but I have for like probably 20 years, more than 20 years, I will only use ergonomic keyboards. I don't know if you can see that. You know, it's the split. Because I type very fast, and it drives everyone who comes to use my computer, it drives them nuts. They're like, how do you type on this? The keyboard's broken in half. I'm like, just type. Stop being a baby. And they're like, there's no letters on it because the letters wear off. I'm like, who looks at letters? Just type.
I mean,
I can't even think of the last time I looked at my keyboard.
Your nerd card is going to get removed if you look for letters on a keyboard.
Like, literally, when my dad comes over, I go into that closet that I mentioned, and I pull out the stock Dell keyboard that came with it and sit it on top of my... Because the other thing is my keyboard sits on a shelf underneath my desk, you know? Like, and he's like, where's your keyboard? I don't see it. I'm like, it's right there. It's under there. He goes, how can you type that? It's under... I can't see anything. So, yeah, I plug in the keyboard, and then he does this.
So, Marie, that's the same. So I've mentioned I've got the 4 monitors set up, and this computer that I have, it was like our main computer. So, the wife and I would do the budget on it and all that. But now there's a laptop upstairs, and so now I've got this new setup. My wife tried to come down here to do the budget, and she couldn't figure out which keyboard to use. And she's like, I don't know how to use your computer. And I'm like, yes, finally. Use the one upstairs.
I mean, it's just me and the wife in my house, so I don't care if my wife uses mine, but she hates using it. So she's got a laptop that I don't think she's touched in 6 months. She's got a tablet that she uses occasionally, but 99.9% of what she does is on her phone.
Yeah.
She just uses her phone for everything. It's like, I'll be like, oh, I gotta go check the circular to see if there's any coupons. She's like, I got it. Brrr. Yes. Like, how do you do that so fast? Like, she's just a wizard with her goddamn her cell phone.
Yeah.
And then like the other thing is she does stuff on her phone, and then it automatically syncs to the cloud. So when she goes to work, like, it's there too. You know.
Yeah. I tried to explain the cloud to my wife. It didn't take.
Just tell her what it is. Say it's you're sending information to someone else's computer, and then later you get it off of their computer. That's all it is.
Yeah, and she'd probably get upset at that too. I don't want anybody else having my stuff.
Well, then don't use cloud computing, because...
Yeah, don't do anything on the cloud.
Yeah, that's what it is. Phones are pretty much becoming laptops anyways. Have you seen the Razer phone that plugs into a laptop shell to run as a laptop? I have not, and I have no interest. When I got this, I got the V10, the LG V10. The only reason I got it is because it was the largest one they had. Because eyeballs are getting old, and I like the big screen. That's it. Well, listen.
I've got 2, because I have one for work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got, but it's the Galaxy S8 Plus, and then the Galaxy Note 8. The Note 8 is cool because I have a little pen that I can sit here and take notes when I'm like in my car, and I have to do call notes or something like that. So
that's cool. So we do have to start wrapping up here. Is there anything you wanted to talk about? Anything you got going on? Anything you wanted to plug? Anything going on for your streams? Coming up in the near future?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna start playing Darkest Dungeon. I got I got 3 new games. Well, one old game, but it's new for me. It's so I got Darkest Dungeon, Far Cry 5, and then Skyrim. I also have The Witcher that I need to finish. I've got Dead by Daylight that I have to play. I do Dungeons and Dragons every Tuesday and Wednesday night. And that's about it. I'm pretty much live every Monday through Friday from about 9 p.m. Central Time through whenever I start to fall asleep. So
there you go. So if you're not already, please toss my good buddy Th0rnd a follow. Twitch.tv/Th0rnd. Fantastic streamer. I love coming by and watching your D&D streams. Personally for me, a lot of times, I'm kind of busy at night, so I don't get to really hang out. But I always try to drop in and say hi every once in a while. Th0rnd, you are an excellent friend, an excellent host, an excellent streamer. Thank you so much for being on tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I haven't had you on sooner. I feel like you're one of those guys that when I'll have on and I look at the clock and I'm like, oh shit, it's 8:56. Like, well, there went that stream.
I did it.
But yeah, man, thank you so much. And you know how we like to end the Palaver. We like to end the Palaver by giving. Before we do this though, we are gonna do a raid. Make sure you go over and say hello to whoever we raid and show them a little Dose Rev love. And with that, last word goes to you, Th0rnd.
Oh, God, I don't know the last word. Let's join the. Let's just be sure to join the Proper Nerds community. A lot of good people in there. A lot of good featured streamers. Rev is one of them. Darth Bex is in the channel. She's one of them too. And show some support to those awesome people. So, thank you, Rev.
Thank you. All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Rev is logging out of the system. Please stand by for a raid on another Twitch streamer. Establishing connection now. Please hold.